Damn long. But welcome back in to the CFR Draft Roundtable Show. I am your host, EJ Daniels. Thank you again for joining us. We got a star-studded tight end group for you guys today. Now, the Bills are in the market for a tight end still, even with the signing of Jacob Hollister and even with the bringing back of Dawson Knox despite his drops. I mean, the Bills are still in the market for a tight end. So we have 5 tight ends today that will be on the Bills' radar and one that is probably not going to be on the Bills, but he is most certainly worth talking about. And so, therefore, on that note, we will start with our first tight end of the day. That is Kyle Pitts from Florida. Now, guys, Kyle Pitts, by all accounts, is probably the best overall prospect in this draft, not named Trevor Lawrence. You know, the guy just ran a 4.4. He's 6'5" and 5/8, 2.5. He has an 83-inch wingspan. That's about a 7-foot wingspan. The guy's an athletic freak. So, Mud Dog, since you wanted to talk about Kyle Pitts, so let's start us off and tell us what you like about Kyle Pitts.
Well, what isn't there to like about this young man? I mean, he's a mismatch weapon. He is going to be some offensive coordinator or offensive-minded head coach is going to get a dream weapon. He's really fast for a tight end. He goes up and gets it. He high points the ball. He can adjust to the ball really well, those overthrows. He's very athletic, and his athleticism comes from him. Like you can see being a defensive end like he was in high school, you know. He didn't make the move till tight end till his, in high school sometime, and it's worked out really well for him. This is, I hate to label it, this could be that generational talent that comes through the draft. When I look at him, I was trying to comp him. I had to spice it up a little bit, put a little mix in it. When I look at this young man, I say Travis Kelce and a Calvin Johnson hybrid type guy, the way he goes up and gets it and the way he creates the mismatches. And hey, if you want to like this guy, go look at the Bama tape. Look what he did against the Alabama defense.
Absolutely, man. I looked at his tape 2 nights ago, right? And I just put a clip in there of him running that out and up. And look at this. Look at this after the catch ability. I mean, this guy, I think his projection, you said Travis Kelce, Calvin Johnson hybrid. I think this guy will pretty much be unguardable in the league, man. I know it's tough to say about a college kid, but I think he'll be unguardable in the league. I mean, all those clips and all those highlights that I showed you guys, those are against LSU and Georgia. I mean, how many NFL prospects are always on those teams every single year, man? So, Greg, tell us what you like about Kyle Pitts and what you think of him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I think we got to preface this by saying, like, Kyle Pitts, obviously the clear number 1 tight end in this class, probably would have been the clear number 1 tight end in a lot of classes. And we wouldn't be doing this discussion any justice if we didn't bring him up and talk about him and at least have that set so we can compare the other guys to kind of what that upper echelon looks like. And Kyle Pitts is that guy. Mud Dog said it's hard to say a guy's a generational talent because you got to figure, I mean, Trevor Lawrence is kind of getting that, that label right now, and is Kyle Pitts a generational talent? I don't know. I know he's one hell of a freakish athlete. I think he's an exceptional weapon. And if he finds himself in the right system with the right coordinator, I think he's going to be an absolutely dangerous player. He's got great hands. He's got great body control. You watch him, you see here's a guy who's basically 6'6", and he's able to climb. He moves so fluid. He's so smooth, and he's a power forward playing tight end where he's able to use that huge wingspan. He's a hand catcher. Nothing bounces off his chest. He never looks sloppy. He's got great body control. And you said it, the damage that he does, he's a vertical threat. He's a good run after the catch guy. He's somebody you could trust. Obviously, in the red zone, he's going to be an impossible guy. He's the type of guy that defensive coordinators are figuring out how to stop. They're drafting people right now. They're analyzing guys in the combine right now to figure out how to stop this hybrid type tight end. So I think the guy is great. He's fun to watch. I think he's going to end up, if he ends up in a place with a great system, and he's the type of guy to me who could be the workload. he's a guy who can get 10, 15 touches a game and just dominate. So I'm excited for him, but I'm not excited to see him. I don't want to see him anywhere near the AFC East or anybody that we got to play against. Because I think that's going to be our weakness is covering a guy like him. But obviously Kyle Pitts is a freak of nature, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFL, I believe.
At the very least, he's going to be a great Philadelphia Eagle. Like, at the least. Like, 12 is it.
Yeah.
If that happens, it's a tragedy, honestly.
Yeah, man, he is I'm going to say it too, generational talent. Like I said, man, all of his work
There's a lot of generational talents in this draft class, because we have second generational talents at corner with Asante Samuel Jr. and Patrick Surtain Jr. So, like, if you want to slice it that way too, there's a ton of generations in this draft.
So it's a very generational
lot of
draft
athletes.
we're embarking on here.
Yes. All great prospects too. And I guess that's our segue to say that we're going to talk about cornerbacks on our next show.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
why not?
We're all
right?
dying
Yep,
to talk
right
about
now.
it, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yes. So
EJ's
I don't want
wanted
to
to
spend
talk
too
about
much
it for
time.
about 8 months.
Yeah, I think that's how this whole thing
I want to
started.
talk about it since
Wanted to
after
talk
the
about
Chiefs
corners.
game.
Yeah.
But we're not going to spend too much time on Pitts for you guys, because we all know he is clearly the number one tight end in this class. He's, like I said, he might be the number one overall prospect in this draft, not named Trevor Lawrence. So we won't spend too much time. I don't think the Bills have a pre-draft meeting, because they don't probably even think that he's going to be there to take. So we're going to move on. We're going to actually talk about guys the Bills actually have a shot at drafting and guys that they have actually talked to. So next on the list, we have Brevin Jordan from Miami. Another guy similar to Kyle Pitts. He's the poor man's Kyle Pitts. Big yak guy, can get it done after the catch. One thing that people say that isn't his strength is his ball skills. He also isn't a great inline blocker. But I feel like if you're drafting Brevin Jordan, you're strictly gonna play him at move tight end. Maybe you'll put in there run plays once in a while, but he's strictly like a move tight end. He didn't test really well. He ran a 4.6, which was in the 65th percentile. We were saying off the air that he plays way faster than he tested, and he looks way faster, way more athletic than he tested. So this might be one of those cases. 6'3", 207. So we're gonna have TFC start us off on this one. What do you like about Brevin Jordan, and how do you think he will fit into the Bills offense if he was drafted by the Bills?
So you call him a poor man's Kyle Pitts. He's like a poor drunk man's Kyle Pitts. If you squint really hard, you could kind of see Kyle Pitts there. But if you stripped away all the things that make Kyle Pitts special, I feel like he's a very incomplete player. There has to be, and most of the guys that we're going to talk about tonight, there's a clear role or a path or a defined feature about them that is translatable to the NFL. But as you pointed out, like Brevin Jordan, gosh, I just want to talk about Kyle Pitts again, apparently. Brevin Jordan is quasi-athletic, but he's not a blocker, so he's not a big-bodied guy. He doesn't play physical. He doesn't play big. So that makes him like a slow receiver. Like, he's the classic tweener that pretty much everyone is trying to find a spot for on the field. Now, in the Miami offense, he was used vertically. They have a vertical-based offense where they're throwing the ball down the field, and he was successful this past year doing that. My problem is, like you said, EJ, he doesn't play big. And it doesn't mean that you have to run block, right? So he doesn't have to be George Kittle. He doesn't have to be a dominant run blocker. But when you get the ball near you, catch it. Like, that's your job. If you're going to be a dominant receiver, be a dominant receiver. Do one thing really well. I don't feel like he does one thing really well, but he is the guy and the kind of guy that the Bills are looking for as far as like the athletic tight end that you can't cover. I just feel like that's kind of smoke and mirrors with him. He's not really that guy. He just looks like that guy. He plays that guy on field.
Yeah. Greg, I want you to go next. I want you to answer Jake Westhoff's question.
No, I haven't lost confidence in Dawson Knox. I just haven't set the bar very high for him. I think he's got potential. I think we're all kind of hoping he takes that next step. I think a lot of people got to take a step back and look at Dawson Knox. He's a guy who played quarterback. He's very raw to the position. So he's really learning on the job right now. So we're heading into year 3 with him. I have hope for him. He's flashed that he could do some things. He's just not the guy we're counting on. He's not the guy who's going to dominate and take over. He's not the guy that we've all been waiting for to to shoot out on this offense. That's why we got excited about the Zach Ertz possibility or the Kyle Rudolph. We want a formidable tight end. That's not Dawson Knox, but I think he has a role to play. I just don't think he's going to be that elite level tight end that we're all hoping and praying for. But
he's the guy that they're looking for in this draft. Like, his physical skills are what they're looking for. It's just putting it all together. And that's really been his problem, since college, is the fact that, like, I mean, you could watch about 2 minutes of him on tape, and he got about 10 targets at Ole Miss, and he fought the ball the entire time. Like, he was wide open. He fought the ball the whole way, and sometimes he caught it. So if that sounds like what you got with the Bills, yep. He has not changed since college. Yeah. That's kind of what we're talking about, is like, you had to have confidence in him to begin with and not just be excited about his upside.
Yeah. My dog, you got to tell us what you think of Brevin Jordan.
I like Brevin Jordan. He's really smooth on his route running, in my opinion. I think he makes really good routes. He's not the best blocker, but what I give him credit for, he isn't afraid to at least try to block. He's second-generation football player. His dad was drafted by the Falcons in the 9th round when we had 17, 20 rounds back in the 1990s.
Everybody was going to the NFL.
Yeah, and he was the top. Let's not forget, he was the top tight end coming out of high school his senior year, according to ESPN. I think Brevin Jordan in the 3rd round would be a good place. I'd feel comfortable with him there. There's a lot to like about him. But with him, in my opinion, with some of these other guys, I still think he's a little bit of a project. So we'll see.
Mud Dog, we talk about a project. What do you see his upside, or what's the project gonna result in? That's I guess the part where I'm
a better all around tight end. So
you think he can be a better blocker and a better receiver and like kind of fill in the gaps in his game? Okay.
Yes.
I think that's a fair. Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to jump in on my assessment of Brevin Jordan, but if we're still.
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
I think it's a guy, you like the guy, you look at him, you watch his film, you saw here's a guy who's obviously highly productive, he's exciting to watch, stuff like that. But when I'm looking at, and I think we're all under the same thing here, is where do they fit in Buffalo? And we've had the same kind of conversation before. I want to draft players, or if I'm going to bring in a player in free agency, I want to upgrade that position. I feel like Brevin Jordan's ceiling is kind of tight around him right now. I don't know if he's going to be that much better in the NFL. Like we said, he plays faster than he really is. I think he's going to, that vertical game that he has, I think is going to be very limited in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be able to get over the top and get behind safeties as easily as he was at Miami. And he's not a gigantic guy, so he's kind of basically like he does remind me of a Charles Clay, where he's kind of like that mush of a fullback, wide receiver, tight end type of thing. So I don't know where he fits on our team and how we could use him, but I like the kid. I think he fits into someone else's system. I think if you have a tight end who's more of the typical throwback tight end who's more of an inline blocker and stuff like that, having a Brevin Jordan to complement him makes a lot of sense. But I think if we get a Brevin Jordan and a Hollister and a Knox, we kind of have 3 of the same guys running it out there. So I don't like the fit for him in Buffalo. I think he's a good prospect. I think he's a quality guy. But I'm not excited about him as a Buffalo Bill. I'm not. I think earlier on I looked at him and I was kind of wowed. And then I went back and really watched and saw what I have there. If he was a 5th-round pick, which I don't think he'll be there because I think this tight end class is pretty thin, I'm all for that. I just don't think he really offers us much outside of being another receiver, and I don't think he's an exceptional receiver.
Yeah, I look at him more as a receiver. That's kind of what I was saying, is I see him more as a receiver than a tight end, and I think he's average at that. He reminds me a bit of Devin Funchess, but a little thicker. Like he's a little bit more of a thick boy than Devin Funchess, but same problem of, is he a tight end, is he a receiver? And, unless you're in Carolina and they wanted all the big guys that were slow for Cam Newton to just throw the ball up to, it doesn't really work in the NFL.
Yeah, man. I'm kind of with Greg, because when I went back and watched him, like, I was pounding the table for him at first. But, when I pound the table for a guy, I have to go back and watch his film. And it was like, man, I pounded the table for this guy. And it's just like, that's why when you do draft evaluations, I want to make sure I make this point. When you watch draft prospects, start with the top guys first and then work your way down, because then you know what you're looking for. So like you start with Pitts, And then if the guy ain't looking like Pitts or measuring up to Pitts, then it's just like maybe your second, third, fourth, fifth. And it's just that's why I said Brevin Jordan is a poor man's Pitts, because like he got the speed, kinda. He play fast, kinda like Pitts, but anything else is just like it's not like Kyle Pitts. So, honestly, realistically, I'd be comfortable with taking Brevin in like the fifth, like y'all said, like fifth round, maybe somewhere like around there. I'd rather rock out with Jacob Hollister, to be quite honest with you, man. I'm a big fan of his. So, I think we're all in agreement that Brevin Jordan will definitely be a project at the next level. Probably won't be there for the Bills, but he could be a sleeper for another team. So now, as we move on to our next tight end, a tight end that I was kind of in love with, but kind of not, and that is Hunter Long from Boston College. So my overall analysis of Hunter Long, I think he is a very good blocker. Number one, very good blocker, uses his hands pretty well. I think he had pretty good production in college. People say he can't get down the field, but I saw him making a lot of plays down the field. I saw him making a lot of contested catch balls too. Got reliable hands, and we know Buffalo tight ends and those reliable hands mean that they don't go hand in hand right now. So I want who started last time? TFC did. So Mud Dogs, you starts off this time. What did you see from Hunter Long that you like?
He's a big body. I think he's fluid catcher. Like you said, he tracks the ball well. And like you mentioned, the block. When you're looking at these tight ends, I think there's Kyle Pitts, maybe Pratt Friarmuth, Brevin Jordan, and then everybody else. I think the gap's really big. I think this draft class would have benefited a lot better, in my opinion, if you had like a Charlie Collier or a Jake Ferguson coming out this year. But anyways, I like Hunter. Like when you're talking about fit, I like Hunter Long fitting in the Bills because of his blocking. He is a really good blocking. His blocking vision, the way he can keep it on the swivel. He's always looking for somebody to hit. He can take the big hit over the middle. I like him. And in 2020, like his stats weren't there. When Boston College got a little bit better of a quarterback this past year, you've seen a little bit more jump in his production. So I kind of like that in him. I think he led all tight ends in receptions this year too. Maybe in the fifth round if he was there, I would really like him. I think he fits better with us than like with Brevin Jordan because I love his blocking. Because if you're not a Kyle Pitts and you're not athletic, then I want you to bring something else to the table. And when you're looking at like Hunter Long, that's what I'm looking for. He brings blocking. He brings that intensity. He's a team player. He's going to give you everything he got. And I think he'd be a decent fit here in Buffalo in the fifth or sixth round.
Yeah, he had 11 contested catches, which was third among tight ends. 6'5", 253. He ran a 4.6. That was actually faster than Brevin Jordan. That was in the 81st percentile of all tight ends. And then he also had a broad jump of 122, which is in the 87th percentile. So pretty athletic guy. TFC, go ahead, TFC.
I was just going to say he's why you measure athleticism in a couple of different ways, though, because keep going. Please, EJ, keep going on his athletic measurables and tell me what his 3-cone and his short shuttle are. The dude turns like a dump truck. Like you talk about athleticism. Yeah, he's big and he's fast and he runs fast in a straight line. He's a linear athlete. And I'm not saying that's bad. I was actually impressed because I thought he was going to be every other Boston College tight end that I've ever seen. And he was faster than that. And he was a good hands catcher, all those things. But we were talking off air about like the Bills are looking for not the same tight end that they've had for the last 25 years. To me, Hunter Long is good, but he's going to be fill in the blank tight end that's played for 8 years and has caught 60 balls. Like Tommy Sweeney, like another Boston College tight end, right? It's kind of similar of what I'm looking at when I see Hunter Long. He's a good all around tight end, but I don't care. I don't care when I watch his film. I don't go, oh, okay, I see it. Like I just think he's another guy, and he'll be another good player. But the Bills aren't looking for that. They've got that. They've got the good player already. He's reliable, all those things. But I just don't think that there's any dynamism, and that's what they're looking for. So maybe they'll take him, but I don't think it solves the problem or it answers the question that they're looking for right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I think you have a guy who's very dependable. I think that's what the thing with him is. He's a solid tight end. He's going to make the good catches. He's going to block for you. He's going to, work his ass off to get open in the red zone. He's going to make contested catches. He's going to lower his shoulder, and he's going to try to pick up a couple extra yards. He's not going to drop passes. He's the type of guy who's just going to be a blue-collar hard worker, and that's great. But he doesn't bring anything dynamic to an offense. I think he's, when we're looking at our draft and how our draft is going to line up, this is a very thin tight end class. I think we can all agree there's not a lot of depth. There's a drastic drop off, especially after the guys we're talking about. So if the Bills are going to draft one of these guys, potentially we're looking at a third round target, because I don't think any of these guys are going to be there in the fifth round. So do I like Hunter Long? Yeah, I think he's a quality tight end. I think he's going to be, somewhat productive in the right system. I think he's going to complement a quicker tight end that's already on a roster. But like I said, are we upgrading with Hunter Long? I don't know. I don't think so. Not in the round 3, where he probably would have to be taken for us to get him. So I like the prospect. I think he's good. I think he's solid. I think he's dependable. And I think he's probably going to be one of those guys who kicks around the league for 10 years and is just a solid, steady guy. But I don't think he's, he ran a good 40. But like TFC said, he doesn't separate. His routes are very clunky. He's very heavy to get out of his turns. I don't think he's going to separate very well in the NFL at all. So I think he's going to have to just use those hands. He has vacuums for hands. He catches everything around him, and I like that. He could take a hit. He could deal with traffic and all that stuff. So I think he's going to be reliable in a red zone and short yard situations, but that's what it's going to be. I think the ceiling on him is pretty much set already. You're not going to see him explode in the NFL and become anything great. He's just going to be a good, solid guy. And is that what we want to draft in the third round? I don't think so.
I agree. The value of where you're going to get him is not going to justify the pick where he's going to have to be taken by the Bills to justify, that pick. And I agree with you. I do have in my notes, TFC, no wiggle to his game. I definitely have that. I just wanted to put it in. I wanted to.
I figured you were getting there. Yeah. You do your homework. I wasn't thinking you didn't know.
I know he'll have any wiggle in his game, but and Mike Nealon, don't give away. We saved the best Penn State kid for last, because we got 2 Penn State aficionados on the board, so we're gonna save him for last. And we appreciate
talk here.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so we got a lot of Penn State guys here. Right. So we appreciate everyone that's tuning in on YouTube and on Facebook. Thank you again. Share this if you can. Like it if you can. Give us a thumbs up. We appreciate all the fans and everybody that supports us. So as we move to the next tight end, this is Greg's favorite tight end, Tommy Tremble from Notre Dame. He actually has had a pre-draft meeting with the Bills, and the Bills are looking at him. So if the Bills were to take Tommy Tremble, I think that would be a good pick. But, as Jeremy, our own project guys, he wants a guy at tight end that's ready to come and play right away, because, Bills Mafia was hype, when they were talking about getting Zach Ertz. But Tommy Tremble's dog, just his dog alone, I would like him on the team. Like, how many people do you see coming out in the draft and you get more highlights for your blocking than you do your receiving? At tight end, obviously, we want to see the dynamicism. We want to see the catching ability. But, we like that dog. Like, everyone likes a dog on your roster. And Greg, tell us what you saw from Tommy Tremble to get the Bills Mafia excited.
Well, if you want to start talking about blocking, this guy's the best blocker, I think, in the draft from the tight end standpoint. I don't think he's refined in it, but his aggression, he's a hammer. He looks to hit people, and he could do it in a multitude of ways. He could be an inline blocker, and he'll collapse the edge of the line of scrimmage. He'll drive linebackers and wash them down. He can come out of the backfield and be a lead blocker in a fullback role. He could shuffle across formation. He can come back into formation and block. So I love that about him, that he takes pride in blocking and pancaking people. So that's all over his highlight reel is him just smashing people and driving them out. So to have that kind of mentality, the I'm going to do whatever I can to help this team win mentality is great. Now you put that and you put it aside, and you look at this kid's physical makeup. I think he's a great athlete. He's got great size. He is very, very fluid, and he moves extremely well. He catches the ball well. He's got that basketball frame. He's got the long arms. I think he's a great athlete. Now you're going to look at his stats and production and say, well, okay, if he was so great, where's the numbers? They're not popping off. they did struggle, I think, a little bit with quarterback play, the system, and I think he also was the second and third tight end at times behind Cole Kmet and another guy. So he had some serious talent in front of him. So I don't think the numbers are going to blow your mind, but I think we talk about it every week, that potential, that high ceiling. And I think out of all the guys, obviously outside of Pitts, I think his ceiling is the highest. I think he has room to grow and develop and become that guy. And I know Jeremy was saying, we don't want a tight end like that. The ship has sailed in free agency. We're not getting a Zach Ertz. We're not going to get a Rudolph. We're not going to get somebody who's a veteran and knows what they're doing. And this tight end class is not a refined class. There's pretty much, outside of Pitts, you're going to have to shape and mold some clay with every one of these guys. I just think Tremble's upside and the ball of clay that you have, I think there's the best. I think he's the best athlete. He's a great blocker. And I think he would actually be one of those players that we could bring in that would be different than what we have already. In my own mock draft, I have Tommy Tremble going in the third round. I think that's a little high because we don't have a fourth round pick, but the value for me is there. We're bringing back 22 starters. We could be a little risque in the third round and take a flyer on a guy with him with a ton of upside, good athletic ability, and loves to block and smash people. I think we need that. Go get Tommy Tremble, damn it.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the points that you made, Greg, was that there wasn't a lot of him on tape. Right. There wasn't a lot of him on tape, but like you said, he didn't get a lot of opportunities. And I'm sitting there like trying to go back, trying to watch his film, see where he's at, and he getting like 20, 15 snaps a game. And it's just like you said, he had another, prospect in front of him in Cole Kmet. And then this year, I forgot who was in front of him, but he didn't get a lot of opportunities this year also. So especially being a COVID year, so
too.
Yeah,
I don't think they used him.
He only was in on certain packages or something like that, right?
Yeah.
My dog, talk to us about Tommy Tremble. You were pounding the table for him too.
I love Tommy Tremble, his blocking ability. I absolutely love a tight end who is not afraid to go out and get dirty. He is not afraid to do the dirty work. He is a grinded out type player. Like Greg said, he has a huge upside. He wasn't used correctly to go along with TFC and Notre Dame. He played behind Cole Kmet, and this year he played behind a freshman they really liked. His first two games, he had like 9 catches for 108 yards. And after that, he didn't even see like 3 targets a game. They used him pretty much as an H-back coming out and help block and pass protection and run blocking. And he did it. He didn't complain one time. That's one of my favorite things about this young man. He's also just like Brevin Jordan. His dad was a ex-football player. He played for those Super Bowl winning Dallas Cowboys.
I knew it.
Tommy Tremble was an edge rusher. He didn't make the move to tight end to his junior year. There's a lot to like about this kid, and if he's there in the 5th round, I'm happy with it because we don't have that 4th round. Like Greg, I think the 3rd round's a little too high. If we had a 4th, I'd feel more comfortable. But if he's there in the 5th, like Hunter Long, that's why I like these two guys because of their blocking abilities. I would take a flyer on them. And he kind of reminds me of almost like an Ed Dickerson.
Very interesting. TFC, give us your thoughts on Tommy Tremble.
So he makes me nervous because I don't know what he is. And the thing is, I don't know that he's a tight end. I don't know that that's a fact. I think he's more H-back than tight end because, I normally don't care as much about the measurables until I see something that I don't like. And he's got short arms for his body length. He's got under 32-inch arms, which for a tight end isn't great. He's got a narrow frame. Now, he's a great athlete. He moves super well. There's no mechanical issues, but he's a narrow frame, so I think his body type is pretty much maxed out. Like, of the guys we're talking about tonight, he is the smallest. And that is the part that I'm a little concerned about. He doesn't have any physical room to grow from what I can tell, and he doesn't break tackles right now. Like, if you go back and look at his film, he never really breaks a lot of tackles. He's pretty much brought down when he gets the ball. Now, if he gets the ball in the open field, he's gone. He's explosive. He's got good deep speed. I think you can be a good route runner. He's also really wild. Now, that's a good thing. I like that, but at the same time, if you're flying around with your hair on fire, you're not going to be a precise route runner. So, like, there's some reining in you got to do with Tommy Tremble, and then you got to find a slot for him. Now, if you have at a certain point, I don't care. because he's the closest fit to what the Bills are looking for that is available, where you have that explosive, hard to cover sort of stuff. But it's just, to me, physically, there's something that's not right about all these guys that we're talking about. That's why they're not first round picks. And to me, that's his thing that gives me the most pause, that I wonder if he's actually a tight end or if he is an H-back and you have to use him differently because you can't line him up on the line of scrimmage and actually have him block 265-pound defensive ends, because it doesn't matter how much dog you have, eventually you need some bite to that bark. Like, he's got to have a little bit more weight, a little bit more sand in his pants, and he's very thin throughout his frame. So he's my guy too. Like, of the guys, he's the one I would take, but I'm not super excited about it. Like, I'm still a little nervous.
Not for nothing, though.
I was gonna say, if I could add
Yo,
one
go ahead,
thing
go ahead,
about
go ahead,
him,
Greg. Before, no, go ahead.
Watching a couple of clips, he's got I think he would be a great fit in Buffalo because he's very into giving back to the community. He's got a best friend that he grew up with who has Down syndrome, and he's been best friends with this kid since they were children. And he, wants to help out and do that. So I think he would be a great fit in Buffalo because there's no more of a charitable franchise and fan base than Buffalo. So I think, on a side note, that I think the kid's a great kid, and I think he would be a great fit in Buffalo because he does have that other element to him that I think he would integrate with the city great. And I think that's another little, help you kind of feel better about the third round, if I can spice it up a little bit for you.
I think he's a third round talent. So that's the thing, is I do think he's a third round talent with his physical ability. The production is one thing, but then it's just, where do you play him, and do you value the H-back fullback at the third round? I think because he's a pass threat and because he is a good receiving potential guy, I think he's worth a third round pick. I just don't know, how they're going to use him in Buffalo, or if he can develop into that high end thing that everyone's looking for, if he's going to be a really good role player.
Here's my question. If he turns out to be, because what you just described, TFC, sounds like Kyle Juszczyk to me. If he turns out to be that, you think he's worth that third round pick? I think if he turns out to be Kyle Juszczyk, yeah.
Yeah, still, in the end, Kyle Juszczyk is a fullback. Like, he's a versatile tight end. He's bigger. That's the thing, too. Kyle Juszczyk is a thick dude. Like, he is really well built. Tommy Tremble is built more like a receiver. So his want to is what's making him a good run blocker. At a certain point, I don't know. I don't know. That's the part that I don't know is he going to be able to block as well on the NFL level if he's not 250 pounds? Like, he's 240, like, and it doesn't look like he's going to be 250 anytime soon.
Just not for nothing though, Tommy Tremble's 241. Kyle Pitts is 245, and so you got Hunter Long, who's 253, and Brevin Jordan's 257. So I mean, he's not that far off, though. That's all I'm saying.
No.
You're saying that he's so light. He's not that far off.
I think it's how he's layered and his frame underneath.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, calling him and Kyle Pitts, like, I understand weight is thing, but we look at you can look at Pratt Friarmuth and Hunter Long, and they're the same weight, but they look like two different football players. A lot of it has to go into how your body is composed, and he is a dense kid. I'm not taking that away from him. I'm just saying that's what he's gonna be. Pat Friarmuth can gain 10 pounds, he can lose 10 pounds. Same thing with all these guys. Kyle Pitts can be 255 if a team wants him to be. I don't know that Tommy Tremble can be any more than 245 at the most. And that's my same problem with Brevin Jordan. That's the same problem. It's just that Tommy Tremble is a more athletic version of that. So that's why he's the guy that I would go with. But I have that question, and I can't shake it, that is he actually going to be big enough and have the long enough arms and all of those things to actually be good? I'm willing to bet on it. I'm putting my money down on the table. I'd be willing to bet on it. I just don't know that I don't think it's a 75%. Like, I don't think it's a sure thing with this kid.
No, I don't think so either. And I think that's why I think this draft for us is so unique, because we're actually in a position, and I don't want to say we could waste picks, but we could be a little bit more risky with our picks, because I don't feel that we have those glaring holes where it's like we have to have this workout, otherwise it's over. I think we could take a guy to me, like a Tremble is a perfect example of where we would be taking him in the third, because it's normally we wouldn't be comfortable doing that. But in the situation that we're in, I think we're kind of playing with house money in a sense where we're gonna throw it on the table a little more than we should. And I'm not saying, Bean is just gonna be a wild man and do whatever he wants. I just think what is enticing to you now and what you see in a Tommy Tremble, you could be a little bit more leisure in grabbing these guys and drafting them in the third round, where in years past where that third round pick has got to be on the field, has got to work, has got to be there now. Otherwise, we've lost a pick. I don't think that's the case in this year's draft.
Yes, we all can agree that Buffalo is definitely in a spot where they can take a little risk. But as you guys keep saying, we don't have a fourth round pick. We don't have a fourth round pick. That's why using 30 to trade back may be a great option, and maybe the best option, for the Bills. I've been pounding the table for them to trade back because they can still get a good corner. They can still get an edge rusher. They can still get all of that if they.
You can still trade down in the third round too.
Yeah.
I mean,
man, listen.
If you want to take this kid in the fourth, that's entirely up to you if you want to trade down.
Right.
I just always say it just
Trading
depends
back
on what they're leaving on the board. If there's something there, if there's a Jalen Phillips, and I want to get to and say if Jalen Phillips there is somebody that I feel like could help us right now, and we're going to leave that to move back and that'll hurt my feelings.
I like the way you put that. I think that's fair. Yeah.
Right. I was about to say, tell us how you really feel. I love it. All right. So here we go, guys. The crown jewel of tonight, the tight end that two of our guys really love and was able to see and watch for his whole career. Pratt Friarmuth. Am I saying that right? I want to say his name right. Pratt Friarmuth. Right? Friarmuth. Pratt.
Very German.
Pratt Friarmuth from Penn State, tight end. Now, I actually like Pratt Friarmuth. I actually talked to Mike Renner on a Periscope, and he was doing like draft breakdowns and all that stuff. And I asked him about Friarmuth, and I said, "Who would you comp him to?" He said he would comp him to Gronk. He is a baby Gronk, right? But the thing about it is, TFC, you said off air, hey, he can't really get down the field. And Gronk can get down the field. Like, we've seen Gronk make plays down the field.
Also,
so
Pat doesn't like that. He doesn't like the nickname.
He doesn't like that comp?
So. No.
Oh, man. Oh, wait. Mud dog. You got to go first.
Edit this out.
TFC, you got to tell us. Yeah, you got to tell us the story.
Yeah.
So, Mud dog, go first. Tell us what you love about your guy, Pratt Friarmuth, because you're also a Penn State guy through your heart, through and through. Tell us what you like about Friarmuth.
I love his play run after the catch ability. I love it that he's not afraid of, he'll run right over a defensive back. He's not afraid to take on a linebacker when he's got the ball in his hand. He'll pick up those extra yards after contact. And in the red zone, he's money. He high points the ball. He is a really good red zone threat, and he wins those contested catches. I have two knocks on him. One TFC said in the chat before, and maybe he'll get to that, and I'll leave that to him. But I think his speed. I wish he was faster, because if he was faster, I think that separation between him and Pitts, the gap would be a lot closer. But he doesn't have the speed. He's guys can do things for you really, really good. And that's it. Me, if he's there at the 30th because of what we have, because the people returning, I wouldn't mind the Bills taking a flyer on him. And that's not me being a Penn State fan. That's me because I think he brings a little bit more dynamic than what we have at the tight end position. Because I don't think he'll be there in the second. So I'd be okay with him at the 30th. TFC?
Greg, talk about what you... No, Greg, we got to get Greg.
Let Greg go.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Let Greg go.
Yeah, I mean... I like the guy. I don't think, there's anything to not really like about him. He's an intense guy, and I think that's something that, we saw flashes with Dawson Knox on a couple plays where he steamrolled the guy and slammed to the ground. I want that from my tight end. I want that big, nasty guy. I'm tired of looking at other franchises with those dogs at tight end that make you fall in love with. We don't have that guy. So I see that in Friarmuth. He's got that kind of attitude and that personality. I think he would really, fans would gravitate towards. I think he would fit in nicely here. He's something now. So when we keep talking about finding somebody who does something differently than what we already have, he's that guy because I think he would be a tremendous red zone asset. I think he's got great body control. He's a physical guy. He plays through contact. I think he's got enough athleticism in the red zone to get some separation. But I think he's got enough physicality where linebackers are going to have a tough time really bodying him up and containing him in the red zone. I think that's something that we need. We don't have that red zone target at all. And I think that was the issue why we were looking so hard at an Ertz and a Rudolph and stuff, because I think they know our deficiency is getting Josh Allen some help around the red zone. I think he's that guy. You watch him make these catches. He caught balls from, I think, every single angle. Over his shoulder, turning, twisting, coming down, turning back to the ball, coming out of the back. So I think, that's nice. I think he would be a great fit here. I think 30 is a little too rich for my blood, even though I'm in the belief that we are in a situation to take some flyers on guys, because I think he does lack that real true vertical threat. I think he plays off play action well. I think he understands how to run the routes on play action and find that seam. But I don't know if that's going to necessarily transition to the NFL and playing against NFL defenses and stuff like that. But a great guy. Second round is the earliest I would consider him. But he's one of those guys where, since it's such a shaky tight end class, he's probably not there in the second when we get on the board. But I just don't think getting him at 30, depending on, if we get to 30 and everything that we would ever want is gone, I would trade back before I would consider drafting him at 30.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's no knock on him. I just don't think.
No,
the
it's fair.
value
He's
is
not
there
a
for him.
first
No,
round
it's
pick.
fair.
Like his
Yeah.
value isn't in the first round.
I was just saying
say-
when I said that I would be okay with it. I mean, I want us to trade
Yeah.
back.
I would
But if he's there at
I would
30 and
not
it
be
picks
okay
him,
with it, my
I'd be
dog.
okay.
Not at all. Not at
Well,
all, bro.
So to Mud Dog's point, you're getting a good football player. So you're
Yes.
guaranteed of getting a good football player at 30. You're
oh
not
my
gonna
gosh,
miss
Mike
on Pat
Nealon,
Friarmuth.
bro.
EJ, why don't you like
Y'all
him?
see
Because
the
he doesn't
comment?
have that. Why don't you like him? Because he doesn't have that win pass rate, that sexy win pass rate percentage
No,
that you
no.
like so much.
Here's why.
Yeah.
Actually,
Daniel's
I
about
like,
to drop
I know.
some obscure PFF stat on us right now. When it's
Nah,
30
I ain't
below
dropping no
in October, he doesn't have a great catch radius.
No,
Oh, he's
it's
great
none of
then,
that.
but it's
Nah, it's just that every pick that Buffalo should make should be gone for me to even think. And like Greg said, I would trade back because you're not getting all the value out of it. Honestly, if Oweh's gone, if Asante or Greg Newsome, or I even take Iffy at 30. That because the Bills need defense. We can all agree on that. The Bills need to get their defense more athletic, period. Pratt Friarmuth would be like a luxury pick for me. Like Greg said, I mean, they have wiggle room in this draft, but like the first pick, I don't care what it is. It's
yeah. You just use
Yeah.
all of it. At that point.
Exactly. You don't leave yourself any room for error. You don't max size 30. Taking Friarmuth. I like him, but I honestly think he's gonna be on at the top of the first when the Jaguars pick, because the Jaguars have the worst tight end position in the league, and if Friarmuth will be a perfect pick for them because he will immediately upgrade their tight end position. So that's just my thought on it. So now we are so this is why I tell you guys, and I appreciate all you guys' comments and stuff. Y'all, look at Mike Nealon's comment. Look at what he said, y'all. It went offense other than line. I'd rather see them draft Najee Harris or Etienne at 30. Oh, my God, bro. Here we go again with this.
EJ, at a certain point, you just need to let it go. Like, just let him roll off.
Nah,
the
I ain't
back.
letting it go, bro.
You're not going to convert
No.
everyone in one day. Like, if you were a preacher, you would be exhausted after the first day. You're not going to convert every soul that you meet.
What's funny about that,
But,
too, that I ran a Twitter poll, got a couple hundred votes, and I used ETN as one of the, who would you, basically, if you're the GM, who would you vote? And
Yeah.
sure enough, Bills Mafia, Travis Etienne at 30 got like 60% of the vote. So
Oh, my God, bro.
Bills
Oh,
Mafia
my
wants a running back at 30 real hard.
That is awful.
So-
That's so awful.
So can I go?
ahead,
Can
TFC.
I just want to.
Yeah, I wanted to introduce you first.
Oh,
This
okay.
is why
All right, go
I
for
tell.
it. Go for
yeah,
it.
yeah. I wanted to tell people this is why you share our stuff. You share our live stream because we have a Penn State aficionado on the board. You never know who you gonna run into in life. I know TFC from PFF, and I did not know that he was the Penn State aficionado as he was. He has been covering Penn State football for 10 years. So what does that mean? That means that he has saw Pat Friarmuth every single day of his collegiate career, and there is no person better besides maybe Coach James Franklin to give us some insight onto what we will be getting from Pat Friarmuth. So first of all, TFC, you got us the Baby Grunt story, number one. And number
Yeah.
2, you got to tell us, what are we going to get from him, and what did you see from him in your time at Penn State? Tell us everything we need to know. Tell us the stuff you can tell us. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't go out and drink together or anything, but I've covered Pat Friarmuth since he was a freshman here. So, he's a good, like, if you want to know about the other stuff, he's a good dude. He's a smart kid. You can see all the things on the film. He's a hard worker. He this last season was a rough one for him because he's coming in with All-American expectations, and he hurts his shoulder in the second or third game of the season. And then really he can't block. He can't catch. You see it affect all parts of his game. So if you're looking at his 2020 tape, do yourself a favor and go back and watch his freshman film, because he's basically been the same guy since he stepped on campus. And it's funny how these things go, because I think he's a better prospect holistically than Mike Gesicki, because Mike Gesicki has never seen a block that he didn't want to Olay. And Pratt Friarmuth is very much more a classic tight end where he can do everything. But the problem is he's never been fast. Like, he's just never been a speed guy. You saw him on campus, and I think he broke the record for tight end touchdowns his freshman year. So again, he's been a red zone threat. He's been 6'5". He's been the body you see in front of you for the past 3 seasons. So it's not a mirage. It's not something where he is he got lucky at any point in his career. He's been that guy the whole time. He's a really good route runner without having elite tools. That's the other thing that I think is really important, is he's got quick hips where he can turn and he can get to a hitch really quickly. And he's a natural receiver where he can then feel the defender, so he can get that first hit and he can shake that off, and then he can break the next tackle. Then he can be physical. My problem is I want him to be physical more, because as physical as he is with the ball in his hands, he's not that physical the rest of the time. That's where I think he is, he can get a little bit better, and where I think that there's a big mistake. You're showing the clip here against Ohio State, and this is kind of really the crux of what is Pat Friarmuth. Is in this game, you see here he split out wide. KJ Hamler was injured, and he was their main threat in 2019. So Ohio State runs cover 1. They run press man coverage. So the idea was put Pat on an island and let him beat linebackers, because they're not going to put a slot corner on him. They're going to put a linebacker. And he won a couple of times, but he didn't win enough. And I think that's the mistake that teams are going to look at Pat Friarmuth. And he was used as more of a vertical threat early in his career, and he made those catches down the seam. I do think he can do that in the NFL. I do think in a system where he's not the only guy, he's a bit Zach Ertz-ish of, like, if you've got other threats, he'll get open, he'll kill you. But he's not going to lead your offense. He's not going to be the dynamic tight end one that everyone wants him to be. He's just going to be really good. And I think if you want to not miss on a player, you draft Pat Friarmuth. But what he is now is likely what is going to be. And a lot of teams look at that Ohio State film, or they look at his production down the field, and they say he's going to be our move tight end. He even said that at his pro days, teams want to see him at 250. I think his best skills are when he's bigger and stronger, and that whole Gronk thing, you play into that a little bit, and you don't worry about his speed as much because it's never going to be good. But if he's more physical than everybody, that's where he wins. And I would want to see him do that. I want to see him be 255, 258, somewhere in there, play more physical, improve his run blocking, all those things, and be the red zone threat. I think that is a really good role for him in the NFL, and when he could succeed at. But I don't know that that's how he's going to be used in the NFL. And he'll be successful either way. I just think he would be, his skills would be used better that way.
And to piggyback on what you just said, TFC, about being really good and being the down threat, and he's not going to be the tight end or the guy. That's why I love him at Buffalo at 30. Because he doesn't have to come in and be the tight end, the guy. Because guess what? We have other playmakers outside of him. So it frees it up. Because you can go with the mindset, we got to stop Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs. Or do you got to just outscore them? And bringing in somebody like Pat Friarmuth gives you that mentality at 30. Like you said, it's a luxury pick. He come in and help. I think he's an upgrade over what we have. A lot of these other guys outside of Pitts are pretty much the same we have. Even Tremble, he's pretty much the same what we have, except for he's a better blocker. So bringing in a guy, but Pat gives us something that we really don't have, a more consistent tight end.
Yeah,
Hey, Derek Mance, man.
I love the guy.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm just.
Yeah. No, you go ahead.
I love the guy. I just don't. I don't know. I don't hate any of the prospects we talked about tonight. And I think that's the first time we've had a show where I had nothing really bad to say. There was no sour taste in my mouth about any of these guys. I just think it comes down to fit and value of where we would draft them. And Friarmuth to me is kind of like almost an unattainable thing for me, because I think first round he'll be there. I think that's too high for him. Second round he'll be gone. So it's kind of like the ship has sailed. So we're just two ships passing in the night. Like we're not gonna meet up on him. I feel like, and I think I said he's a good quality guy. He's got a lot of. He's going to be a very good pro, and he's going to be an impact on some offense and certainly in red zone situations. And he would be great to have in Buffalo. We're not going to be able to obtain him. I don't think how the chips are going to fall this year.
See, I think this draft, why he's a first round and why he'd fit 30, because overall this draft lacks a lot of the top end talent. If it was another draft, then I would agree with you. If it was like late 2016, 17 with some of those other guys that came out at that time, I might agree with you. But this year, it's Pitts, him, and then everybody else.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
But I say if you're saying at 30, now just hypothetically speaking, as the board might fall, you got a Jalen Phillips there. You have Alex Leatherwood, a Asante Samuels, or a Newsome is there. To me, that's to me where I'm looking at it like he's going to be at 30 with those players there. Does my team need Friarmuth over a Jalen Phillips or a corner? Unless all those players of need for us are gone at 30, I would feel very. It would stink, I think, to go that route at 30 if those other players were still on the board, because I think that would be a major luxury pick.
Yeah, he is coming off of off season, or not off season. It was in season. It ended his season.
In season.
He had a shoulder injury, so he had shoulder surgery, and he was not cleared to do anything as far as contact or any of that stuff. I believe until this week or next week. So it was a long rehab. He tried to play through it, and it did not go well. He was not effective, and I don't know if it did more damage, but like it's been a long rehab, and he did not look good at the pro day. So that's the other thing is, I think maybe some of the things people have seen of him in the last 6 months might sour them on Pat Friarmuth. He might fall, like he might be there at 61, and I think that'd be a value pick at that point, because like I said, you're getting a guy that is going to be good. Like I am more reasonably certain about his. He reminds me of Yetur Gross-Matos, another Penn Stater last year, where I know what his ceiling is. I know exactly what he's going to be, and he's going to be a quality player. Now, I don't take him in the first round because I know what the ceiling is, but I want people like that. I want football players like that on my team, because you're just going to get production. So that's the only thing I could say is maybe he was there at 61 because of the shoulder injury, and because he looked like he lost a good bit of weight, and a good bit of good weight this offseason with the surgery.
Yeah, so I think we're all in agreement that while it would be great to have Pat Friarmuth, definitely not with your first round pick. If he's there at 61. I don't think he's going to make it to 61, because, like I said, it's too rich for Jacksonville to pass up, especially how bad their tight ends were. But if he's
their
there
offensive line is really bad too. Just saying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
their whole team is really bad.
They're gonna get a blue chip guy with their next, because they have 2 first round picks, and then the top of the first pick of the second round. So I think they're gonna take a tackle. With that.
And Urban Meyer coached against him at Ohio State. He knows.
Yeah. So they know each other, right? So that's why I feel like. They're not going to let him slip. But I think we can all agree Pat Friarmuth's a great player, but if he's there for the 61 at the Bills, probably should take him. But, we don't need him, especially, listen, that Jacob Hollister signing was very underrated. I like Jacob Hollister. I think
agree.
He's going to be real solid. I think he's going to wow some people. So, even though the Bills still are in the tight end market, they are set and they will be fine. So, this is all the tight ends we talked about talking about tonight. So we have all in agreement that we are talking about cornerbacks the next time we do our draft show. But we have like 4 minutes left, and I wanted to pose a very hot question to the group before we get out of here. So, make a long story short, I was on Twitter last week, right? And I said, this guy he said, Stephon Diggs is the best receiver in the NFL, and the only person that he wants to hear that's better than him is Devonte Adams, right? So Stephon Diggs is my favorite receiver. So I said no. Stephon Diggs is not the best receiver in the league. I love Stephon Diggs. He can kill anybody from any alignment, but he's not the best receiver, and he had a great year, right? So I asked him, I said, what changed from Minnesota to Buffalo? Because he's had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, dating back to Minnesota where he didn't get that many targets. So again, I asked him, what changed from Buffalo to Minnesota? Because he's still an EB that's in front of him. The only thing that changed was the fact that he went to your favorite team, number one. And number two, he's getting more targets and touches, obviously. Right? So I want to hear what you guys' thoughts on that specific topic. Do you think Stephon Diggs is the best receiver in football after the year he had?
I mean, I don't know if I would consider him number one. We can nitpick and stuff like that, but I think he's in consideration for, I don't think anybody would argue of considering him a top 3, top 4 wide receiver in the NFL. I mean, based on production and all that stuff, I think, top 3, I think you can definitely place him up there. I don't know if I'm going to say he's the number 1 tight end. I'm sorry.
Receiver?
I'm sorry. Yeah, receiver. It seems like we were talking about tight ends tonight, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I think he's probably at another year with Josh Allen and in the system and the other talent around him. I think he could take that spot for himself, but I think he would be in the top 3 for me.
Your receiver is one of those things, right? Mud Dog, you go first.
No, you go ahead.
Well, receiver is just one of those things where it's like, what flavor of ice cream do you like? Because there's so many different ways to play receiver. Some people might say, and I had this conversation with a guy on Twitter, where you rank receivers, and he had Tyreek Hill 3rd, and I was like, 3rd? That dude's one of the most dangerous people in football. But it comes down to, like, do you want body type? Do you want size? Do you want speed? Do you want hands? If I were picking a receiver in the NFL right now, I might start with A.J. Brown, like for, longevity and all those things, and because he's just bigger and physical. But this is kind of, EJ, you were getting into something yesterday with somebody about Tre'Davious White. Was he top 5 or top 10? And I don't care.
Oh no!
Like he's in the top 10. Like Stephon Diggs is a top 5 receiver. These are champagne problems if he's not number 1. I think he's awesome. I don't really care if you rank him number 1 or number 5. For the first time since like Eric Moulds, there's one that the Bills have that's in the conversation.
CTFC, you always take the easy way. You always take the easy route, the path of least resistance. The most
realistic.
No.
Yes.
See, there is objective analysis, and then there's fanhood. Again, as I started with, what changed between Minnesota and Buffalo?
Right.
What changed?
What's the mountain that we're trying to get over between the two?
Just because he plays for your favorite team does not make him the best receiver in the league. That's the mountain.
Yes. The person that you were talking to stumbled upon the correct answer.
Cut out. I wanted to hear what his point is. Greg, is it just
Am I not here?
Still in here?
No,
there you go.
I got
Man, this lag is good.
I can hear TFC.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
you guys say your point again. I wanted to hear what you were saying.
Just that the guy you were talking to stumbled upon the correct point of Stephon Diggs is one of the best receivers in football and is in the argument for being the best. But at the same time, if the objective analysis 1 year versus there's no Madden progression or any of those things. It's not like just because this year he was the 3rd ranked receiver from PFF or number 4 doesn't mean he's not in the top 5 of consistency over time and all those things. It's not so cut and dried. I think you could make the argument that Stephon Diggs is one of the best receiver, but it's not like there is a certain point where it's not cut and dried. It's not an obvious thing. And I don't think it's obvious that he is or he isn't. I think that it comes down to preference and what you look for in a receiver, what your system needs. I don't know that Devonte Adams is any better than Stephon Diggs. They're just a different type of the same thing.
And then that's it. I don't know, bro. Listen, Devonte Adams is different with that route. There's Stephon Diggs route running, which is awesome. Jamar Chase said yesterday that's who we watch is Stephon Diggs. And then there's Devonte Adams releases. Like, there's levels to this. And I think, Diggs is like 4, like 3-4 if you want to get. I like Keenan Allen a little bit better than Diggs, but, it's right there for me. And that's the thing.
This is the thing. On any given day, Stephon Diggs can go for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. He can win you a football game. He is a guy that can separate versus man and zone coverage. He is a guy that you build your offense around when it comes to the receiving group. If you want to talk about, like, to me, like, you're doing the same thing as the guy you were talking to on Twitter. You're just fanning in a different way. You're fanning about the stats and the numbers and the objective realities versus going at a certain point, you're both right. They're both good. Like you're arguing about like decimal points. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, you're arguing about the decimal points, and you're arguing about the idea of a thing that is not. It's not a concrete. It's subject. It's like art. It's a subjective thing.
It's like Burger King or McDonald's. You like what you like. They're both good. They're both fast food. You like it, but I like Burger King. Oh, I like McDonald's. I don't think making that statement one way or the other makes you look like an idiot. It's not like he's saying Cole Beasley is the best receiver in the game, where you can say, "Oh, hold on, buddy, we could debate that." Yeah, we could debate that. Right. Stephon Diggs, I think he deserves to be in conversation. I'm certainly not going to argue about Devonte Adams being considered the number 1 receiver in the league.
So, EJ, this is what I'm trying to say is this year I'm looking at the PFF stats here because I know that it's a big. Tyreek Hill was 16th. In PFF receiving grade. Do you think he's the 16th best receiver?
No,
you could say, yes, actually. This year he was. He was the 16th best receiver this year. But if you were to tell me that he's the 16th best receiver in the NFL during his time in the NFL, I don't know the level of cursing I should do here, but it's gonna get up there. That's not true.
Points, man. My dog, am I crazy? Like, am I crazy for saying that?
I'm along with TFC. Like, I wish I kind of would have never let him go first. I should have, because, like I said, it depends on like your flavor. It's like, what are you into? Like, stat wise, yeah, he's in the top 5. But like you said, do you like to go up and get him guys? Do you like the smaller body guys? What do you like? There's no doubt that he's a top 5, but
no doubt
it doesn't matter if a guy's saying he's number 1 because he's producing and putting up the stats compared to Adams. Like you said, you can't. You're both right, in my opinion.
See, and here's my issue. I do see what both y'all are saying. It's like comparing apples to oranges. It's all about what you prefer. I am right there with you guys. All I am trying to say is that he is not doing anything different of what he was doing in Minnesota. That's a fact, because he's had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. So why now is he all of a sudden the best receiver in the league now? Because he was doing the same exact thing in Minnesota. Same exact thing.
I know before he came to Buffalo, so there was things I've seen on social media where Stephon Diggs is top receiver in the NFL and everything. So other people.
Okay, so even then people were saying he was top in the league. So now why now is he number 1? That was my only point I was trying to make.
To the Bills fan that doesn't watch Vikings games.
Exactly.
I feel like that's your answer. Like you're arguing with a guy that isn't paying attention to everything the way that you are, and that just makes him a fan. That just makes him a fan.
Doesn't make him wrong.
Well, he will be wrong. He will be wrong at some point.
Yeah.
He'll push that point to the point he's very wrong.
Well,
I'm talking about right now.
There's no, to your guys' debate before and the debate we're having right now, there is no right answer. I think that's the enigma that we're trapped in right now, that there was no right answer between you and the Twitter argument or the hashing out we're doing right now. There's going to be no right answer in this situation.
Yeah.
I just wanted to pose the question to the panel, but again, I just want to say I appreciate everyone tuning into our live show. It's just a nice little, I wanted to discuss with Bills aficionados and Bills people. But again, we appreciate you guys for tuning in to our live shows. Next week we will be discussing cornerbacks, my second favorite position on the field, and a position that definitely needs to be talked about because there's a lot of hot topics. And at the end of that show, I will have another hot topic for you guys, and you guys probably gonna hate it. But again, thank you guys again for watching, and just next week at 9 o'clock on Thursday as we talk about cornerbacks.